Hi, this is Nick George with Claus Diamond Sharpening, just to show you a video on how to take care of your clippers, your hair clippers. It's fairly easy. We're going to go down to the table and, look and see how to maintain these the best you can and get the most life out of them and get the most quality cuts. Okay? So this should be a fun video. Yay! Okay, so we got 3 clippers here, and this is a AC clipper, meaning alternating current clipper. Has electricity going through the field for more power, but it also has vents to keep it cool with a fan. It's straight electricity. Okay, then we got a battery powered one. It's DC, direct current, uses a battery. Then we got a DC corded model, which is AC here converted to DC here through the PC board. Has no fans, and they run about the same speed. Maybe the Andis might be a little faster, but this is probably cheaper to repair, especially if you take care of it, because you just repair the parts up here. This, if you take care of it, is pretty cheap to repair, but it can be expensive if you don't oil your blades. It's very important to oil your blades, especially taking care of your clippers. Okay, so we'll go through the Andis first. Most people have Andis, most dog groomers. So how to take care of this clipper? First of all, the blade should be 2 to 4 pounds at most. I mean, 4 pounds is a lot of pressure, and what that means is pressure that it takes to move this cutter blade on the comb blade. And if this is pushed down too hard, which some sharpeners do, that's bad, and it could destroy your clipper. It rattles everything apart, breaks bearings, ruins drives, bends sockets on blades. So first, all these never leave my shop at over let's say 3 pounds, and I like to keep them about 1.5 to 2 pounds. So what that means is less resistance for this to move. This don't know any better. It's going to move it whether it burns the commutator where the brushes ride. It's going to burn it and it get hot, and it's going to spin it for sure. You're not going to know it's tearing your clipper up. But if your blades are this is about 1.5 pounds. It's pretty much perfect. It's real easy to move. See how easy it is? Like, my thumb ain't even straining. And when you get up and over 3-4 pounds, it's like, and you're just trying to move it like that, and it's like your clipper doesn't know any better, and it's gonna run just as fast. The blade's gonna get extremely hot, and it's gonna be tearing this thing apart. It'll destroy your motor mount, destroy the commutator, ruin brushes. Things will get hot, start melting. Then your clipper will always run hot once it runs hot, most of the time. Sometimes it just needs a clean out if it's running hot, and that's okay. So I recommend getting them serviced every 6 months or so, especially if you're using it every day. But how to maintain your clipper? Let's say you buy a new clipper, okay? So this is a brand new clipper, brand new Andis. Turn it on. Mine's pretty noisy. I use it to test blades all day, but it runs fine. So always turn your clipper on before you engage the blade, because the thing is sometimes you can get it to go in the hole, or you have to move this and then it will. But when you start it up like that just probably put a burnt mark on the commutator. So once you get enough of those, it's gonna start losing power. And so what I recommend is turn it on and then snap it in, and see how easy it is. Always make sure the blade snaps all the way down and locks. So see how it's locked? If it doesn't lock like this, and then I can lift it, watch. I'll just go ahead and do this, but please don't try it. So see, that's bad. What that's doing is rounding this off. If this is rounded off, it's gonna not fit this gap here perfectly, and it's gonna have a little vibration first of all, and then it won't move this blade but little bits, so it'll only cut like one tooth instead of 3 teeth across. And what that does is it leaves lines in your cut. So you want to have it on, make sure it's latched all the way. Sometimes you got to push the latch depending on what kind of blade it is. And what that does is it lifts the latch onto the blade. But you always want it latched, and you want this blade oiled. So let's go ahead and show you how to oil. Okay, so you can put a dot on the teeth, a dot on the guide, and 2 dots back here, 1 dot each. And what that does is keeps it running smooth. Keeps your sharpening last longer, less wear and tear on your clipper, and it keeps it sharper because the oil beads off when it goes into dirt. It beads off with the oil, so that's good. You don't want it to sit there and grind in the teeth. Without oil, a lot of people don't use oil, and you know, it's just grinding in those teeth, and that's horrible. And also it's making it harder to move, so you're tearing this bearing up. That bearing isn't cheap, and now I believe it's a whole assembly, and it's made it a whole assembly. So you break that bearing and you're buying a whole new motor, and those are at least half the value of the clipper to get them repaired. So you got to be careful about it. It's still worth getting repaired, but why not just oil your blade? The sharpening lasts longer, the clipper runs cooler, the blade runs cooler, you don't burn your customer, and it's a win-win situation. It saves you money. I promise, that's a guarantee. It will. And I want you to save money, and I want why we're in business is because we like quality sharpening. Our sharpening is always sharp, of course, but what we really shoot for is how long the sharpening lasts. And it's a lot up to you, you know. Like your car will last, 20 years if you take care of it and you do the oil changes and everything, but you don't do those oil changes, I mean, it's gonna run rough. It's not gonna run good, that's for sure, and it probably won't last 20 years. So really, to maintain a clipper, you want it to move as easy as possible. So you have to find a good sharpener that does the right pounds of pressure. Now, if it has 3 pounds of pressure, doesn't make him a bad sharpener. If it has anything over that, I would consider finding a new one. And because we check every blade to make sure that they're not over 2 pounds, or over 3 pounds, I should say. So they're about, I can set my blades at 1 pound, but hair can get stuck underneath the teeth. It's just a little light. So I go 1.5 to 2.5. So that's a good setting. Anything over 3 is you're kind of damaging your clipper. If it's 4, you are damaging your clipper. So if it's 4, for sure. Now 3 you can get away with. But anyway, so to maintain these, you want to clean the blades with while it's not on, and clean it. What I would do is snap the blade off, move it like this, take a brush it off, move it like this, brush it off, put a little oil on it, put it back in the box, it's done. and ready for use for next time. And then when you go to pop it on, oil it up. If you don't like the oil, you can wipe it off, but you still gotta put oil on there, because it gets in the pores, and at least it's in the pores. So a lot of groomers will oil their blades and go under the sanitary one time. One swipe, that oil's pretty much not bubbled on there. How much oil should you use? Well, there's never too much, but you can have a lot on there and then it build up gunk. So you want to watch that too. So just a little thin layer is nice. Your clippers will love you, and your blades will love you. So, and then also, if you have an air can, you want to blow this out and keep it not hairy up in there. You don't want the hair to wrap around it. So I recommend using a cap. But a lot of like cattle groomers, they won't use a cap, but they're usually buying new bearings, which is fine to them. They don't mind. But if you want to save money, and use the caps. I know it's annoying because you can't see what's going on, but it does help. So that's pretty much it. You want to really not bend this too much. So if you tend to have it like moving around like that, it will break there. So you want to watch it. You want to get these serviced every 6 months or so at least. I would recommend 3 months if you use it every day, 8 hours a day. Every 3 months you should get it serviced at least. What happens is it builds carbon in here and it creates a blanket, and then it can melt the copper wires on the armature that spins and moves the blade. It will melt those wires, and then it will get hot forever. It will run horribly, and it could blow a switch. And then you need a motor, brushes, and a switch and a cord. You're gonna get a phone call, and I'm gonna say buy a new one, because it wouldn't be worth it. So it's totally worth it if you take care of your blades, and you just have to replace this piece. I mean, everything wears out eventually. So eventually you're gonna have to get it serviced, and we service all clippers, and if they have parts available, they can be 100% fixed. You're gonna have to replace parts. The hinge will wear out eventually, this will wear out. Even if you use it once a year, and eventually you're gonna have to get it serviced. You want the carbon cleaned out there. It's like a blanket. It's like carbon dioxide, but it's carbon brushes that transfer the electricity to the commutator of the armature, and that's what makes it spin. Also, you don't want hair getting stuck in there and then it burning around the commutator, catching on fire and melting things. Heat is bad for these. So now if your blades are getting too hot, we'll just set them on a marble block and keep them oiled. I recommend oiling them before you put them on and after, but at least, at bare minimum, oil them when you put them on. And when you start it up, snap it in, make sure it's latched, because you'll round that drive and you don't want that to happen. So now we'll do the battery powered one. Okay, so to maintain a battery powered, this is a Bravera 5-in-1. I like them, they're pretty cool. This is very easy to maintain. So same thing, you're gonna wanna use them until they're almost dead or all the way dead, and then charge them. Although lithium batteries doesn't matter, but I have a lithium battery and I let this thing go all the way down and then charge it all the way back up, and it seems to me like a lithium battery lasts longer that way, but maybe it's not true. I drive RC cars too, and I do the same thing, and I discharge them if they sit for a while to make the battery last longer, and I get 5 years out of them most of the time. So that's pretty good to me. They say it doesn't matter on lithium batteries, but I would recommend just go ahead and doing that, because as far as my battery knowledge goes, it's always been the case for me, is they just last longer if you run them all the way dead and then charge them back up. You're going to want to do the same for this. So turn it on, snap it in. It's not that important with this actually, like you can just put it on like that, but it does work better. So to snap a 5-in-1 blade off, you want to snap it off from the front of the teeth here and push this way. So like that. And I've never broken one of these, and I see them broken all the time. And I think what's happening, see, you put it in the little notch and then you snap it on. Well, I think what's happening is people are pulling it off all together, and it breaks this or they drop it. But see, it's very easy, just like this, and just pop it off. Okay, and you won't break the little platforms. We can repair them on all wall blades, sometimes Andis blades, never Kenshi blades. They do not sell the parts available for that. But basically you want to keep this cleaned out. You don't want hair to get in there, and that's about it for these. They're very low maintenance. They're really expensive if you have to get them, if you need a new battery or something. It can get quite expensive for cordless. So stay away from cordless if you don't want to spend a lot of money. Cord is always better. Now we go to the Oster, the AC with the fan. Okay, first of all, you're going to want to never block these vents. You're going to want to make sure these are clean, because this is where it sucks in air. And if it's not sucking in good air, this is going to get hot and melt the wires, and then it's going to vibrate, and it's not going to run good. So this one clearly needs a service. It just doesn't run very fast and sounds horrible. So basically on these, you're going to want to keep the vents cleaned out. You still need to get them serviced. These need to get serviced. These have motors that still have brushes. Even though you can't replace them, you have to replace the motor if you need new brushes. But they do have brushes in it, and they do need to be cleaned out every once in a while. And when I clean them out, you'll notice a power difference, more power. They'll sound way better, they'll run way cooler. Even these can run hot, and if they get hot, they can blow this PC board, or if they get too much carbon in the motor, it can blow the PC board. So you want to, you always want these to stay clean. They're spinning really fast for a long time, and you don't want any resistance. So oil your blades, and you will have a clipper that lasts forever. This clipper is probably 20 years old, still going, right? And the reason is it runs all day. I check blades all day on this. I check every single blade I ever sharpen, and I make sure this is always cleaned out and running. I use used parts to fix it, like bad parts. So the only good part on this clipper is probably this drive, and everything else is bad parts that either I got over the years or bought off somebody selling clippers. So thank you for this wonderful adventure. If you have any questions, this is the best place to leave it, because we will answer it. Our business motto is teach the customer everything to save you money, and we want your stuff to work the longest and you make the most money and look the best to your customers. So use our services today and do not delay. And we sell scissors, and we service all clippers available. We can sharpen any blade that can be disassembled. The only blades we can't sharpen are riveted blades, and that means they have no screws to take them apart, and they're usually throwaway blades. But we can sharpen 5-in-1s, all blades, all scissors, all shapes, all sizes. Try us out today and don't be disappointed, because we strive for everyone not to be disappointed. Thank you for this wonderful adventure, and have a great day.